This is Gary Myers from the Daily News, and we're here at Foley's in Midtown, and Hank Gola, one of our 15 panelists on the Daily News Top 50 NFL Players of All Time, is here to discuss players number 30 down to 21.
Number 30, Bronco Nagurski. Number 29, Emmitt Smith. Number 28, Dick Night Train Lane. Number 27, Roger Staubach. Number 26, Jim Parker.
Number 25, Bruce Smith. Number 24, Ray Lewis. Number 23, Bob Lilly. Number 22, Gale Sayers. Number 21, Ronnie Lott. Hank, what strikes me right now, Gale Sayers, number 22, Emmitt Smith, number 29. Explain their careers a little bit and why you think they wound up where they did on the list.
Well, there are different types of great. That's the best way I could explain it. Gale Sayers was a thunderbolt. He took the lead by storm in his rookie season, probably had the greatest rookie season anybody's ever had. And then his career was shortened because of 2 tragic knee injuries. And he never got to kind of build on what he had started. But people look at him as maybe the greatest running back of all time just because of his talent on the field, the way he would get out there, the excitement he created. And really, when people were looking at him, as contemporaries were looking at him and trying to compare him to someone, they had to go all the way back to Red Grange to compare him to a sort of back. So he was kind of a transformational back in that way.
He reversed field
better
than any player I've ever seen. He can stop on a dime and just turn it back and go the other way.
Exactly, and he was used as a kick returner as well, and he scored a bunch of touchdowns that way. Now, you compare him to Emmitt, I mean, Emmitt obviously had a long career, durability, fighting through injuries. Emmitt would be a guy who'd make yards after the catch. You hit him, he would fall forward. Gale Sayers, you never hit him. So, but it's a totally different type of thing. But Emmitt, a winner, always a big playoff type performer, big game performer. Gale Sayers really never got to perform in a lot of big games with the Bears.
Well, you know, Gale Sayers' career lasted only 7 years, but really it was 5 because his last 2 years he had a total of 90 yards. He only played 2 games each of his last 2 seasons, and almost got to 5,000 yards in his career, which today, you know, a player can get to in 3 years. Emmitt, all-time leading rusher, over 18,000 yards. He had 11 straight 1,000-yard seasons. Gale Sayers only had 2,000-yard seasons, but I think, you know, according to our panel of experts here, you know, Gale Sayers is significantly ahead of Emmitt on this list, and I think it's just an appreciation.
Right.
Emmitt might have been a little bit of a compiler. You know, he kept his career going, wanted to pass Walter Payton as the NFL's all-time leading rusher. Gale Sayers never really had that chance.
No, and Gale Sayers, 2 tragic knee injuries. If you had arthroscopic surgery back then, it would have been nothing,
right.
and who knows what his career would have been. So as on a pure talent measurement, then I could see why Gale Sayers is rated ahead of him.
And, you know, a contemporary player that made our list, and he only retired a couple years ago, you know, Ray Lewis of the Baltimore Ravens, and a 2-time Super Bowl champion. Some people think that maybe the best middle linebacker of his generation. What was your evaluation of him as a player?
Well, yeah, I just remember back to the Super Bowl against the Giants when all he had to do was look at Kerry Collins and the play was done. I mean, I've never seen a defensive player dominate a Super Bowl by just dominating the line of scrimmage as he did. So yeah, but we're talking about middle linebackers now. When you talk about middle linebackers, you think of Dick Butkus, who was in our top 10. But Ray Lewis was a different type of middle linebacker. He had range. He had physical toughness. He kind of had more than Butkus had. So I'm probably the best all-around middle linebacker. And again, the ability to cover what that Butkus really didn't have.
A player who's higher on the list than maybe I thought he would be, although there's no taking away from the fact that Ronnie Lott was a great player.
Yeah.
He started off as a cornerback, moved to his more natural position at safety, won Super Bowls with the 49ers. Again, a great player, no question about it. I'm a little surprised he came out at 21st.
Yeah, I think you're right on that one. And again, he played on just a great 49er team that was known more for offense than its defense.
Right.
So to come out of there, you wouldn't think he'd be a standout, but obviously he impressed the voters with just the way he played center field and just a ball hawk back there, and again just a tough, hard hitting guy. You remember those Giants 49ers games like they were yesterday, and he was an intimidating force back then.
And because, Hank, because you and I are of the same generation,
Yeah.
we both remember watching Roger Staubach play.
Yeah.
And there may not have been a quarterback, or hasn't been a quarterback, that is just more fun to watch. Roger the Dodger, you know, just a great runner, drove Tom Landry crazy by improvising, but a winner, and just a tremendous player.
Yeah, back in the day, you didn't see too many quarterbacks take off, except for him and maybe Fran Tarkenton. The one thing that I remember about Roger actually occurred after his playing career was over. He was being inducted into the Hall of Fame at Canton, and I happened to be covering it. And he came onto the field, and somebody tossed him a football at Canton Stadium, and a kid ran a go route up the right sideline, and he just flicked the ball, and it was right there in stride. It was the most amazing thing you've ever seen by someone whose playing career is over, and a true gentleman too. I talked to him last year for a piece I did on Army Navy after JFK was shot, and he really is a great guy and is still living in Dallas and is a big Tony Romo supporter. And I think maybe on Sunday, after the Cowboys beat the Giants, maybe he's proving right.
And you know, Hank, there's really no telling how many championships he might have won.
Yeah.
He spent the first 5 years after college, you know, serving out his naval commitment. So he didn't get to the Cowboys till he was about 27 years old or so. And as we know, those are, you know, 5 of the prime years of his career that he missed out on playing in the NFL because he was serving our country as part of his obligation of attending the Naval Academy.
That's true, Gary. And then back then, you had to develop. Quarterbacks just didn't step in and play like they do now. There was always this, you know, we're going to be in an apprentice kind of mode for a year or two, and then they were going to learn the offense, and then they were going to step in. He didn't have that luxury, and he had all that time off, and he still stepped in, and one of the all-time greats.
That's right. And Hank, thanks so much for talking about our list 21 through 30, and we'll be back next week with 11 through 20 as we work our way to the top 10 and ultimately the greatest player in NFL history according to our panel of 15 on our 1 through 50 list of the NFL's greatest players.